In part 1, we saw Simba's birth filled the wildland with joy, but Scar's jealousy turned everything upside down. Scar's evil plan led to Mufasa's death, and Simba was made to believe he caused it. Fleeing in fear, Simba grew up far from home, unaware of his true destiny. Now the story continues in part 2. It was a beautiful morning at Wildland, a serene and peaceful place where all the animals lived. The sun shone brightly over the green jungle, and Simba, the Lion King, was walking through the jungle with his daughter, Kiros. Simba suddenly stopped walking. He sniffed the air and felt something wasn't right. His face turned serious as he told Kiros to go back to the cave. Simba said he needed to find Nala, Kiros' mother, because she might be in trouble. He promised Kiros he would come back soon, but Kiros felt afraid. She didn't want her father to go. Simba told Kiros not to worry because Timon and Pumbaa would stay with her while he was away. Simba kissed her gently and left quickly. Kiros sat quietly in the cave, waiting for her father to come back. Time passed, and the sky outside turned dark. Soon, heavy rain began to pour down. Kiros had never seen rain like this before. The sound of the raindrops hitting the ground made her feel nervous. As the rain grew heavier, Kiros felt more scared. Just then, Kiros heard a familiar voice. It was Rafiki. Her eyes lit up with happiness as Rafiki walked into the cave, smiling warmly at her. She told Rafiki how frightened she was of the rain. Rafiki listened kindly, and then he told her that even the bravest lions, like her father Simba and her grandfather Mufasa, were once afraid of water. But they learned to face their fears and became strong. Rafiki's words made Kiros think. She admired her father and grandfather and wanted to be as brave as they were, but she still felt unsure. Rafiki smiled and said he had a story to share, a story about someone who once felt just like her. This is how Rafiki began telling Kiros the story of Mufasa's early life. Many years ago, before Simba became king, there was a young lion named Mufasa. He was the son of two wise and kind lions, Ahadi and Uru. But the land where they lived was very different from the lush and green wildland. It was dry, barren land, with where the trees were few and the water was hard to find. Mufasa's parents often told him stories about a faraway place, a paradise full of green forests and running rivers called 𝑗𝒉𝒈. They said there was no shortage of food, water, or beauty. This place, they explained, was beyond the mountains, and one day, Mufasa was meant to go there. His life in the barren land was full of struggle, but the stories of 𝑗𝒉𝒈 always filled his heart with hope. One day, as Mufasa played outside with his parents, the sky suddenly changed. Dark clouds gathered, and the wind started to blow. Mufasa had never seen anything like it before. The first raindrops began to fall slowly, but soon the rain grew stronger. The animals in the dry land celebrated. The rain was a rare gift in the dry, barren land. Mufasa's parents smiled and laughed, enjoying the cool rain on their fur. Mufasa was excited too. He ran to a nearby stream, eager to play in the water, feeling the joy of the rain. Soon, the rain got much heavier, and the stream, which had been small and calm, was now a fast and dangerous river. Mufasa's parents got worried as the rain kept pouring down. Mufasa's father ran towards him, trying to get him to safety, but the water was so strong that it swept Mufasa away before his father could reach him. Mufasa was carried by the flood, floating far from home. The water tossed him around, and he struggled to stay afloat. Mufasa was pulled farther and farther away. Everything he knew seemed to disappear, and the only thing Mufasa could do was hold on and hope. Eventually, the water started to slow down, and Mufasa found himself floating near the edge of a new, unfamiliar land. He was tired and scared as he looked around, and realized the flood had carried him to a totally different place. While he tried to catch his breath, he saw another lion cub about his age running towards him. The lion cub's name was Taka. He was curious and concerned when he saw Mufasa struggling in the water. Taka quickly warned Mufasa to get out of the water, telling him that dangerous crocodiles lived there. With Taka's help, Mufasa managed to pull himself out of the water. Taka introduced Mufasa to his mother, Aisha. She scolded Taka for talking to a stranger and reminded him of his royal status. Aisha said Taka, being of royal blood, shouldn't be with its stray lion. But Taka, being brave and caring, stood by his new friend and said, "I always wanted a brother. Mom, please let Mufasa stay with us." Mufasa then explained that he wasn't a stray, but had been separated from his family because of the flood. Aisha saw the kindness in her son's heart and understood that Mufasa needed help. Feeling sympathy for the lost cub, Aisha decided to take Mufasa to the king, 𝒊𝒏𝒈, for help. 𝑗𝒊𝒏𝒈, the king of the land, wasn't sure what to do with Mufasa. He worried that bringing an unknown lion cub into their family might cause trouble, so he decided to test Mufasa. He told 𝑗𝒊𝒐 that they would have a race between Mufasa and Taka. If Mufasa won, he could stay with them. Mufasa, exhausted from everything, struggled to keep up in the race. But Taka, seeing this, made a surprising choice. He slowed down and let Mufasa cross the finish line first. 𝒊𝒏𝒈 was sad that Taka lost, but he kept his promise and let Mufasa stay. Mufasa became part of their family, but 𝒊𝒏𝒈 never treated him like his own son. Although Mufasa wasn't born into the family, Taka treated him like a brother. 𝒉𝒐, who had already accepted Mufasa as her own son, taught him how to hunt and fight. Mufasa learned quickly because he was smart and focused. 𝒉𝒐 was proud of how strong and brave he was becoming. On the other hand, Taka spent most of his time with his father, 𝒊𝒏𝒈, who was lazy and preferred to relax rather than teach Taka much. As time passed, Mufasa grew stronger and smarter, becoming an excellent hunter. His sharp senses made him stand out. He could smell things from far away and knew where to find food before anyone else could. Mufasa was happy to be part of Taka's family, even though he missed his own parents. One day, Mufasa and 𝒉𝒐 went hunting together. They went into a place they hadn't explored before. As they got close to a river, they saw something strange. A group of lions with white fur came out of the trees. These lions were bigger and scarier than any lions Mufasa had seen. 𝒉𝒐 quickly told Mufasa to hide, and they both tried to stay out of sight, but the white lion saw them. Mufasa knew he couldn't run, so he bravely stayed, ready to protect 𝒉𝒐. Taka, who had been following them, saw what was happening. He felt scared and hid behind some bushes, too afraid to move or help Mufasa. He watched as Mufasa fought the white lions all by himself. He even managed to defeat one of the white lions. When the other white lions saw their friend fall, they quickly turned and ran away. Taka slowly came out of the bushes, feeling embarrassed. He apologized to Mufasa for not helping during the fight, admitting that he had been too scared. 𝒉𝒐 reassured Taka, telling him that there would be other chances for him to be brave in the future. The three of them headed back home, but they knew their troubles weren't finished yet. One of the white lions, who had been killed during the battle, was the son of the White Lion King, a fierce and powerful lion named Kiros. When Kiros learned of his son's death, he was filled with anger and grief. Kiros roared in anger and pain. His pride of white lions was known for being powerful, and losing his son was too much for him. He promised to take revenge on Mufasa for killing his son. He immediately called together his army of white lions and ordered them to prepare for battle. While this was happening, 𝒊𝒏𝒈's spy returned with news about Kiros' anger and his plan to attack. When 𝒊𝒏𝒈 heard this, he realized that Mufasa and Taka were in great danger. 𝒊𝒏𝒈 was worried. He had always followed the lion laws, respecting boundaries and peace, but Kiros was different. All Kiros cared about was getting revenge for his son's death. Kiros and his army could arrive at any time, and 𝒊𝒏𝒈 had no time to waste. He decided to save Mufasa and Taka, so he called his family together to make one final plan. After thinking carefully, 𝒊𝒏𝒈 made a tough decision. He told Mufasa and Taka they had to leave right away and travel across the mountains to a faraway place. It was the only safe spot where Kiros and his army couldn't find them. Although Mufasa and Taka were hesitant at first, they knew it was the only option to stay alive. As the sun rose, the peace of 𝒊𝒏𝒈's land was broken by the arrival of Kiros and his army of white lions. Their roars filled the air, striking fear into the hearts of all who heard them. 𝒊𝒏𝒈 tried to talk to Kiros, hoping to stop the fight, but Kiros didn't listen. He was set on getting his revenge. The battle began as Kiros and his lions attacked. 𝒊𝒏𝒈, 𝒉𝒐, and their allies fought back bravely, with claws and teeth clashing in a fierce struggle. Kiros demanded to know where Mufasa was hiding, but 𝒊𝒏𝒈 refused to tell him. Kiros roared loudly and said he would destroy everything in his path until he found them. Mufasa and Taka had been traveling for hours, following the sun to find their way to the mountain. They were both exhausted and worried about their family, but they kept moving. As they continued, a loud noise broke the silence. Birds flew in big groups behind them, chirping loudly. Mufasa stopped and looked back, thinking the noise could mean Kiros Kiros and his army were following them. He quickly told Taka to run, and both lions started running as fast as they could. Their escape brought them to a huge waterfall, with the loud sound of water crashing down all around them. With no way to escape, Mufasa considered fighting Kiros and his army. But Taka, who was not as brave as Mufasa, was scared to face them. Without wasting time, they shared a quick look and then jumped together, diving into the cold, rushing water below. The force of the water carried them far downstream, narrowly escaping their enemies once again. After escaping the waterfall, Mufasa and Taka walked deeper into the forest. It was night, and the darkness surrounded them. Suddenly, Mufasa bumped into a young lioness who seemed to be about their age. The lioness introduced herself as Sarabi. She explained that she had been lost in the jungle for a long time. Sarabi was the daughter of a lion king from another land, but her pride had scattered after an attack by rival lions. Since then, she had been searching for a safe place. With her was 𝒊𝒏𝒈, a colorful and clever bird who was her loyal companion. Feeling sorry for her, they welcomed Sarabi and 𝒊𝒏𝒈 to join their journey. Together, the four became friends and formed a strong bond. As their journey continued, the group grew even stronger. While traveling through the jungle, they found a lonely monkey named Rafiki. He had been kicked out of his troop because of his strange abilities. Seeing how helpful he could be, Mufasa and the others invited him to join them. As the group continued their journey, Rafiki proved to be a valuable addition. With his instincts and special abilities, Rafiki guided them through unfamiliar terrains, ensuring they stayed on the safest route. Taka's feelings for Sarabi were growing stronger. He admired her kindness, strength, and bravery, but he couldn't figure out the right words to express his feelings. Taka went to Mufasa and, with hesitation, shared his feelings for Sarabi. He asked Mufasa for advice on how to win her heart. Mufasa, always a supportive friend, suggested a compliment. Tell her she smells like fresh flowers. Curious, Taka asked how he could make it sound convincing. Mufasa confidently replied, "You know my sense of smell is sharper than any other lion's. Just trust me." Encouraged by Mufasa's advice, Taka gathered his courage and approached Sarabi later that day. As they walked, he nervously said she reminded him of the fragrance of fresh flowers in the jungle. Sarabi, touched by his heartfelt word, smiled warmly and thanked him. As they continued their journey, the air grew tense. 𝒊𝒏𝒈, always on alert, suddenly saw something strange. His sharp eyes spotted Kiros and his army. Surrounding them, they had no way of escaping. The group was trapped. Panic set in as they realized that Kiros was getting closer. But just when all hope seemed lost, Rafiki noticed a large herd of elephants was heading toward them. Rafiki quickly saw an opportunity. He whispered to Mufasa, "If we can make the elephants scatter, we might have a chance to escape." Without wasting a moment, Rafiki spotted a beehive nearby and with a swift strike, disturbed it. The bees flew out, buzzing angrily and stinging the elephants. In a panic, the elephants started running wildly, causing a chaos and completely confusing Kiros and his army. But suddenly, Sarabi was knocked out by an elephant and fell in the middle of the herd. Without thinking, Mufasa ran to her, picked her up, and carried her to safety. When they were safe, Sarabi woke up, confused but relieved. Mufasa told her a lie, saying it was Taka who saved her, because he wanted Sarabi to start liking Taka as well. As Mufasa and his team continued their journey, they reached the large snowy mountain. Mufasa told them that right beyond the mountain was 𝒉𝒆. Mufasa was also getting closer to Sarabi. They often found themselves walking together, laughing and sharing quiet moments. They didn't say anything, there was a natural connection between them. Taka noticed how comfortable Sarabi was with Mufasa, and jealousy grew in his heart. He became angry and decided to take revenge on Mufasa for taking Sarabi. His feelings of envy started to change the bond between the two brothers. Feeling hurt, Taka went down to find Kiros and his army. He told Kiros he wanted to join him because Mufasa was now his enemy and had betrayed him. Kiros agreed to take him in. Taka then made a plan to secretly follow Mufasa, leaving claw marks on rocks to guide Kiros to him. Taka returns to the group after being gone all night. Mufasa asks where he was, and Taka replies that he went hunting but couldn't find any prey. Mufasa trusts him and doesn't ask further. The group continued their journey toward 𝒉𝒆, hoping it would be a safe place. After a long walk, they finally reached 𝒉𝒆. It was a lush, green jungle filled with colorful flowers and clear streams. The place looked like paradise, and everyone felt happy and at peace. Suddenly, Mufasa heard loud roar and turned around. To his shock, Kiros and his army were standing there. Mufasa was confused about how Kiros had found them. All the animals approached and warned Mufasa to leave immediately. They were afraid that Kiros would not only harm Mufasa, but also attack everyone in 𝒉𝒆. Mufasa tried to calm them down, convincing them to fight alongside him. Taka stepped forward and revealed the truth. He admitted that he had helped Kiros by leaving claw marks along the way. Mufasa was shocked and hurt to learn that Taka had betrayed them. This set the stage for the big fight that was about to begin. Kiros stood face to face with Mufasa and immediately attacked. A fierce battle broke out between the two lions, while Mufasa's friends fought against Kiros' army. The jungle was filled with growls, roars, and the sounds of fierce fighting. Kiros was bigger and stronger, allowing him to dominate the fight. Mufasa struggled to defend himself as Kiros relentlessly overpowered him, making the fight even more intense. Taka stood at a distance, watching the fierce battle between Mufasa and Kiros. He felt confused and scared, unsure of what to do. Then, he remembered his mother Yishi's words, "One day, you'll have a chance to show your bravery. When that moment comes, don't miss it." As Taka reflected on her advice, he realized that this was his moment to be brave. He couldn't let Mufasa fight alone. With newfound courage, Taka made a decision. He would join Mufasa and fight alongside him against Kiros. As the battle grew intense, Kiros raised his powerful claw, preparing to strike Mufasa. Just as the claw was about to strike, Taka jumped in front of Mufasa, protecting him. Kiros' sharp claw cut across Taka's face, leaving a deep scar. Even with the pain, Taka stayed strong. He and Mufasa fought together with all their strength. Kiros tried to kill Mufasa by pushing him underwater, but Mufasa was saved when a large rock fell on Kiros, crushing him, ultimately ending the fight. Mufasa then swam to safety. With Kiros defeated, peace returned to the jungle. The animals gathered and made Mufasa their new king, praising him for his bravery and for saving them from Kiros' terror. Mufasa's mother, who had been away for years, came forward. Tears of joy filled her eyes as she hugged her son. Mufasa, thrilled to see her again, promised to create a kingdom where everyone could live safely and happily. The animals cheered loudly, celebrating the beginning of a new, peaceful era under King Mufasa. After Mufasa became king, the animals discussed Taka's betrayal. Many wanted him banished for helping Kiros. Mufasa listened, then said, "Taka is like my brother. He made a mistake, but he helped defeat Kiros. As long as I'm king, he stays." Taka stood in front of the animals, feeling the weight of their judgment. Touching the scar on his face, he said, "From today, I will be called Scar. This scar will remind me of my mistake and teach me to do better." Rafiki finished telling the story to Kiara, Simba's daughter. She was amazed and excited. At that moment, Simba and Nala walked up to Kiara. Nala smiled and said, "We had like you to meet someone special." Simba stepped aside to reveal a little lion cub, Kiara's newborn sibling. Kiara's eyes lit up with joy.